The Dodgers have locked up all-star catcher Will Smith on a historic deal. It's a big-time deal, and it keeps him in Dodger blue for life. Today, I break down and react to the unexpectedly but terribly well-deserved contract extension for Will Smith on another edition of the All Dodgers podcast. First, I am Clint Pasillas. You guys can find me as Real FRG on the social media things. I host things on this channel. I host a Dodger show on the Foul Territory channel. Subscribe to both. Those are the things that really do help out the channel. It's completely free, and it shows that you care. Anyways, let's talk about the big news of the day. Will Smith, the Dodgers announce a 10-year, $140 million contract extension for all-star catcher Will Smith, locking him up through his age 38 season. It also buys out the final year of his arbitration, which would have come next year. Let's look at the details here. Again, 10 years, $140 million, covering the 2024 through 2033 seasons, the second most lucrative deal for a catcher in baseball history. Hall of Famer, which is still weird to say, Joe Mauer signed a $184 million deal to stay with the Minnesota Twins back in 2010. Important note about this deal. One, there are no opt-outs in the contract. So will be a Dodger for a very, very long time. Important note too, of course, the Dodgers included some sort of deferrals. The Dodgers will always get creative with the financials, and they did it on this one as well. The deal also includes a $30 million signing bonus, bringing the total annual cost down over the next decade. So that will be much better or much prettier for their payroll. They will have more cash in the pockets to sign some free agents and to also put in that put some money in that Shohei Ohtani deferral cookie jar, which they'll need to start doing. I think it's in 2 or 3 seasons. They need to start showing that they're putting money aside, in so many words, for Ohtani's very, very heavy deferrals down the road. So Will gets paid $13.55 million in 2024, $13 million annually from 2025 through 2027, $9.5 million annually through 2028 through 2032, and then $9.95, a little raise again, in his final year in 2033. Then eventually he gets $5 million annually from 2034 to 2043, which is insane to even think about. All right, let's react to this thing. Great deal for Will Smith. A great deal for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Like my friend Jeff Snyder of the Locked On Dodgers podcast told me, feels very much like a Braves contract. It's not the highest end of what you think Will Smith could get on the open market. You could argue that he was going to get a lot more on the open market after next season. Now, thankfully, we'll never know about that. But kudos to the Dodgers for locking up a guy that somehow has kind of, I wouldn't say weaseled, but he's slid his way into becoming their cleanup hitter. And now he's set to protect Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, and Freddie Freeman this season, which is another thing that's pretty insane to think about. But he's protecting 3 Hall of Famers, and Will, let's just say, is pretty damn good. This is one of those deals, though. It's a long time coming. I've been barking about a Will Smith contract extension for at least the last 2 seasons. I wrote about it, talked about it on my old podcast, wrote about it at the other site back in the day. Now the Dodgers get it done. Andrew Friedman said at the introduction, I guess it's an introduction press conference, the announcement press conference they had at Dodger Stadium on Wednesday, this quote, "This has been something that has been near the top of our to-do list for a long time. Luckily, both sides had mutual interest in getting a deal done, and it's a well-deserved deal." What a journey for William Dills Smith, drafted by the Dodgers, his first rounder, but drafted by the Dodgers in 2016 as sort of an unpolished gem at the time. There were some questions about his hitting. There were some questions about his future as a catcher. So yeah, draft him out of Louisville, makes his MLB debut just a couple years later in 2019, takes the starting catcher job from Yasmani Grandal into the playoffs, becomes a World Series champion in 2020, starts to really establish himself in 2021 and 2022 as a big leaguer, as a solid hitter, starting to put the pieces together as a defensive, asset, or as as a catcher behind the plate. His game calling improves, the defense, the framing all improves, and he parlays that into his first career All-Star berth in 2023. And then now this is kind of the ultimate reward for all of his hard work. He's grown arguably into a top 3 catcher in baseball, and statistically the best catcher in baseball since 2019. No catcher in baseball has produced a higher weighted runs created plus minimum 1,500 plate appearances. Hat tip to The Athletic for that one. We do know the Dodgers have a lot of catching depth in the minors, but with that, it takes a lot of time to kind of learn whether or not these players can prove out. They can prove themselves as long-term big leaguers. Something that even kind of took Will some time to prove out. But Will now is a proven commodity, and he'll be a Dodger ostensibly for life. Got to really enunciate that one out. The deal also does make history with the contract. As I tweeted on the tweeter machine on Wednesday afternoon, Will Smith signed the longest contract extension for a player drafted by the Dodgers in franchise history. He breaks Matt Kemp's 8-year deal that he signed in November of 2011. He stays behind in the money. Clayton Kershaw signed a 7-year deal in 2014, $215 million deal. But at $140 million, that's nothing to write home. Is something to write about? It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for Will Smith. More fun with kind of cherry-picked history. I also noted the last time the Dodgers signed a player to a 10-plus year contract extension just on the eve of opening day. The last time they did that, they went out and won a World Series that year. Yes, that was the year 2020, and that was Mookie Betts signing that big, that long-term contract, the 12-year deal that he signed back then. Another World Series note from Will Smith. He did say during his press conference where they announced the deal today on Wednesday that rings were a big reason that he decided to come back. Quote, "For me, it always came back to where do I have the best chance to win the most World Series? That is the Dodgers." So final thought on this, or one last note with this deal also, the Dodgers now have a lot of players kind of locked up. 6 players locked up through at least the 2030 season, 11 locked up through the 2027 season. Hat tip to our friend Jeff Spiegel for that tweet there. You wonder, what position will Will Smith be playing in 10 years from now? How can Will Smith, if Will won't Smith, or if he won't catch, could move to maybe one of the corner spots, first base, third base. We did see him struggle in one random cameo at first base in his career, so I hope not that. He could also kind of settle back into a backup catcher role down the road if his production does diminish. But for now, he is LA's #1 catcher, and he will be for a long time coming. So congrats to Will Smith. Congrats to Kara Smith, his wife. This is a celebration. It's a historic contract. It is very, very much deserved, and it's a reason for Dodger fans to celebrate. Another reason for Dodger fans to celebrate as we head into opening day. Share your thoughts down in the comments. What do you think about the Will Smith deal? Would you have liked to have seen maybe them try to get somebody else? Would you like to have seen Diego Cartaya get a chance over Will Smith? Sound off. Of course, there's Dalton Rushing at some point down the road. He is the current #1 prospect in the organization, but now he quickly kind of maybe becomes trade bait. Coming up next on the channel, or at least for me this week, we do have opening day on Thursday. I will be busy on Thursday. We got episode 2 of Dodgers Territory with myself and Alana Rizzo. We will be talking more about the Will Smith deal. We'll be talking a little bit more about the Ippei and Shohei situation. We have our first guest joining us, so tube in for that. I'll be joining my friend Greg Bergman for his Dodgers show, Blue Review, on the ESPN LA. I think it's on Instagram. I don't know. I didn't ask. I just told him I'll do whatever you want. He's a good friend of mine. And I should be live as well tomorrow, Thursday night, for another edition of All Dodgers Live. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you did, if you haven't done it, please consider doing it. It's completely free, and it really helps out the channel. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Whack a thumbs up if you will. And reminder, if you are looking for a different way to support me, support the channel, and support independent Dodgers coverage, I do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/realfrg. There's a couple things there. There's a couple of perks. Maybe you like, maybe you don't like, but check it out or don't. It's completely up to you. I am Real FRG on the social media things. Links are in the description, and I will see you on the next one.